Welcome back to Surface Paradise for race 2 of round 1 of the 1995 Australian Super Touring Championship here on Gold Coast Indy weekend. Race 1 saw a dominant victory for Stephen Richards in the Valvoline Alpha. He missed the jump and got beaten to the first turn by both Audis, but he was quickly back to the front of the field and went on to take a big win over young Kiwi Greg Murphy. Bit of action throughout the rest of the field. Brad Jones had a first lap accident. A bit of cut and thrust at the back of the field at the first chicane. We had a steady run through to 7th place in our Hyundai, getting points in the opening race of the season, which we're pretty happy with. So let's get straight down to the grid and check out where everyone starts for race number 2. Bear in mind it's based on the finishing order of race number 1, which isn't how the rest of the series will be. Stephen Richards converts his race 1 into pole for race 2 in the Valvoline Alpha. Alongside him, Greg Murphy in the Audi 80 Quattro, car number 35. Row 2 headed up by Jeff Brabham in car number 83, the first of the Diet Coke BMWs, joined on row number 2 by teammate Paul Morris in car number 23. A great 5th place in race 1 for Tony Scott in the Volvo wagon, joined on row number 3 by Charlie O'Brien in the New Zealand BMW. We're out of position number 7 in our Hyundai Elantra, joined on the 4th row by Graham Moore in the Sentinel Motorsport Opel Vectra. Position 9, Phil Ward in the Nokia Mercedes, joined on the 5th row by Stephen Ellery in the Chelgrave BMW. Mark Seymour finished 11th, just out of the points in the BMW M3. He's joined on row number 6 by Steve Hardman in the Hyundai Elantra. Position 13, Justin Matthews, the BMW M3. Alongside him another M3, the veteran Bob Holden in the Faber-Castell car. From 15, Bob Tweedy in the Ford Sierra, joined by Melinda Price in car number 26, the Toyota. 17, Paul Nelson in the BMW. Paul Pickett out of position number 18 in the BMW. 19, Mark Adderton in the Peugeot 405. Alongside him on row number 10, a similar example of David Gross. Position 21, Peter Hills in the Ford Sierra. Alongside him, an early DNF from race 1, Brad Jones in the Audi. Look for him to storm through the field. And off the tail of the field, the Ford Mondeo of Jeff Allen. So another 8 laps, another short race to finish off the opening round. Richards was quite dominant in race number 1. He's expected to carry that through into race number 2, but maybe if Greg Murphy's Audi can get in front of him off the line, he may be able to block him for the rest of the race. We're out of position 7. We're hoping to move forward. Let's see how we go. Lights are on for race 2. Away. Slow start from the Volvo. We got a bit of a punt up the back from one of the cars. Might have been Phil Ward. Down to turn 1. Turn in. Graham Moore nudges the wall. So we've lost a spot to Moore, but we gained a spot on Tony Scott. So can we stay ahead of the Volvo? Down to the A&A Hotel. Scott right behind us. Moore in the Bellray Vauxhall or Opel as it's termed in Australia. We've got Morris and O'Brien side by side ahead of us. Moore, a lot of pace from that front wheel drive Opel Vectra. Just having a look up the inside. Is he going to get Morris? Oh, easy. He got balked. Morris also balked himself. I've gone for a slightly taller gearing for this second race. Judging by that, it's and we've nudged the fence. Everyone's gotten through there okay by the looks of things. Today anyway, Brad Jones was caught out in race 1. Around out in the first lap. More jump over the curb. I geared it for a little bit more straight line speed, but I may have geared it too tall because more has gone. We've got Tony Scott behind us, down to turn 1, through the chicane. In fact, Scott incredibly quick through that second chicane. They cover him off. The only time this season, race 1 and race 2 here at the Gold Coast, that we'll see cars with most of the field anyway without their wings and front splitters. They were homologated for Super Touring early in 1995, and Phillip Island and the Gold Coast were the only time they ran without them. By round 2 of the championship at Oran Park, they were allowed, and all the major teams will have aero packages. Not everyone. We're driving as if we had them just there because very late on the brakes. More in the Vectra. Oh, so early. We'll get a run on him onto the front straight. Sort of the same problem we had with Charlie O'Brien yesterday, just no straight line speed from the Hyundai. He's got to try and make time up in the corners. Graham Moore would have been around 50 in 1995. Driving for Sentinel Motorsport. And we've clipped the curb, and I think that slowed Tony Scott up as well. Cover Scotty off. Graham Moore, long history in Australian motor racing and touring car racing. First sort of came to prominence for most Australian viewers in the 1972 Bathurst 500. Where he pressurising Peter Brock and Alan Moffat during the wet opening stint in his private Holden Tirana. Moore very slow. Around now, onto the front straight. We'll try again. Get in his toe. He then was a perennial privateer for all his career. Thought Michel Delcourt out from Belgium for a good number of years to co-drive with him at Bathurst. Might have to be a desperate dive somewhere. Right in the ballpark here. Get up the inside. Onto the Esplanade, we're ahead. Two BMWs just up ahead of us. More gets us back with just way more top line speed. Oh, he was slow, we were a bit quicker. Gave him a nudge. Tony Scott trying to poke his nose in the Volvo. How great was it that we got the Volvo estate here for 95? Through the chicane. Maybe in a position here to cut the inside. We're ahead. Graham gave us a bit of room. Front straight, so Paul Morris struggling a bit here in the Diet Coke BMW. He's only running 5th. We're already halfway through the race. Lap 5. And the Lexmark chicane. Out of the Cars Guide chicane. Close enough to be an annoyance, cover him off. Not many straight panels will be left on this car at the end of race 2. Nudged a few walls in this race. Good to see the privateers so competitive. Obviously Stephen Richards won the opening race. And Moore is in front of the Works Volvo. Brush the wall close. Might have expected a bit more from Paul Morris in this race. Shaded by new teammate Jeff Grubham in race 1 and by the new Audi as well as the Alpha. Quite a high-speed track, so you've got to keep your concentration up around here. Well, I hope this is a good sign for the rest of the series, that we can be competitive right up behind Morris in the Hyundai, because we had some promising results at the end of 94 in the Peugeot, and thought it'd be a good chance to run the Hyundai, see what we could do in 95. Especially it was a proper works effort. by Steve Hardman. That was not the best line. Trying very hard. Around now onto the front straight. Right behind Morris. BMW M team, Diet Coke BMW. 6th gear, 2 to go. Morris clips the wall. I think we've staved off Graham Moore's threat. Over the curb. Down the Esplanade. Behind Morris. Up to the chicanes. Glancing blow. Last one. Onto the front straight. Giving Morris a push. Right in behind him. So this is going to start the last lap. Down to turn 1. Almost get there. Across the curb. The last lap of this round, round 1 of the 1995 Australian Super Touring Championship. The Bartercard chicane for the final time. Right behind Morris. Off at it! A huge accident, something that can always happen on a fast street circuit like Surfers Paradise, where you risk so much to try and get the rewards, and we paid the price here today. Let's have a look at some replays of the accident. First of all, full speed from the camera's trackside. As you can see, it happened so fast. Before we know it, we've hit both walls. Careened from the right into the left. Slow motion, first from the BMW of Paul Morris. That's us behind. You can see we're already losing it in the middle of the chicane, and there was no way to get the car back. Here we are on board with us, and the car's already sliding towards the wall. We hit it and then almost head first onto the inside wall. We'll now go to slow-mo from outside again, and they're so fast, the chicanes on this version of the track, that no chance once the car had gotten loose. Lucky to get away with that one, and we'll be able to race on in round 2 of the championship at Oran Park coming up soon. But for now, let's go and have a look at the results of race 2. Stephen Richards clean sweeps the weekend with another victory in race 2. This time though it's a bit closer, 2.5 seconds clear of Jeff Brabham, with Greg Murphy in 3rd, Charlie O'Brien 4th, of course Paul Morris in 5th, and Graham Moore promoted to 6th at the end of the race. 7th place, Tony Scott in the Volvo, Steve Ellery 8, Phil Ward 9, while Justin Matthews rounded out the point scorers in the top 10. Mark Seymour picked up another 11th, while Brad Jones off the back of the grid managed to get back to 12th, but that still means no points. And that leaves the championship after round 1 looking like this. Stephen Richards, a full complement of 48 points from the 2 races. Greg Murphy and Jeff Brabham equal 2nd on 30, then back to Paul Morris, Charlie O'Brien, Tony Scott rounding out the top 6. Graham Moore, 7th. Ware equal 8th, with Phil Ward and Stephen Ellery on 4 points. Then it's back to Justin Matthews on 1 point in 11th. In the Manufacturers' Championship, these points calculated by putting each factory entered car in order at the end of the race. That leaves BMW clear on 64 points ahead of Audi on 50. Volvo 3rd on 20, and of course they're at a bit of a disadvantage given they only enter 1 car, while the other 3 manufacturers are entering 2. Hyundai sits in 4th on just 12 points. Well, in the Privateers Cup, these point standings, just like the manufacturers, they're calculated in the order the privateers finished, with of course the factory and semi-factory entries deleted. So Stephen Richards, he's a full privateer, even though he won both races beating the factory cars. He has 48 points as well in the Privateers Cup. Graham Moore 2nd on 36. Ellery and Ward equal 3rd on 22. Mark Seymour and Justin Matthews equal 5th on 14. So that finishes up the Super Touring portion of the 1995 Gold Coast Indy, but before we move on to round 2 of the Super Tourers at Oran Park, we're not quite finished with the Gold Coast Indy weekend. More to come very soon. Bye for now.